Hey guys, I'm LT.
And I'm Dan.
And welcome to BHK Outdoors, your beacon for all things outdoors. So grab a cup of coffee,
Or chaga.
and for the next 30 minutes, let's get out there. As always, if you have any questions or show ideas for Dan and I, you can email us at radio@bhkoutdoors.com. That's radio@bhkoutdoors.com. Today's program is brought to you by Self Reliance Illustrated. It's a bi-monthly magazine. It's all in print copy as well as in e-version. You can get it off of the website at SelfRelianceIllustrated.com. Every 2 months, the magazine comes out and has some great articles on fire, water, food, shelter, all different things. So check it out at SelfRelianceIllustrated.com, where we're teaching today's youth and passing on the tribal knowledge. Well, guys, we have a really great guest for you today. He's a friend of Dan and myself. His name is Kevin Estela, and he is the lead instructor with the Wilderness Learning Center, and he is also the founder of Estela Wilderness Education. So I'd like to say thank you for being on our show today, Kevin, and welcome.
Hey, thank you guys very much. Good to talk to you again, Dan and LT. How's everything?
Everything's pretty good on this end. Spring started early for us, so we're doing well.
Fantastic. Great to hear.
Yeah, down here in Ohio, usually we had a little bit harsher winter than we have, but boy, we just haven't had a whole lot going on winter-wise here. I don't know what it's been like for you.
It was pretty mild. I mean, earlier this year we had a pretty nasty ice storm, and we lost power for a good week up here, which really tested a lot of people's preparedness skills. But since then, it's been very mild, and it's New England. They always say if you don't like the weather, wait about 20 minutes, and we go from 80-degree weather one week to freezing the next.
And that is really interesting. Hey, on the intro, I kind of gave them a little bit of information on you. I don't have a lot of your background here on paper. I think it's be a great opportunity for kind of let the public know about you.
Oh, sure. Well, I grew up in Bristol, Connecticut, and my background is pretty extensive in the outdoors. I really took a liking to the outdoors, listening to the stories of my father, who survived in the jungles of the Philippines during the Japanese occupation of World War II. So growing up, I was never a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout, but I learned some pretty cool skills from my dad. And you can imagine as a youngster, hearing your dad put you to sleep with these stories, who doesn't want to be like their dad? And in this case, who doesn't want to run around the woods with an umbrella that you turn into a dart gun? So growing up, I was interested in that. Formalized my education through a whole bunch of different survival schools, and was always in the outdoors. When kids would go to football practice, I would go mountain biking. When kids would go to baseball, I would go and do something else. So my background is pretty heavy in the outdoors, and I've been a lifelong enthusiast, and always been interested in getting outside in any way I could.
Okay, well that sounds pretty cool, but you're going to have to show me sometime how to turn a umbrella into a dart gun.
Well, it's funny that you say that. If we want to go back to Self Reliance Illustrated, what a great magazine. I think I wrote an article about that not too long ago. So, I'm maybe putting a plug for a couple of back quarter issues right there, but it should be right in there. But absolutely, Dan. Next time you come up to the school, we'll have to play around and potentially, shoot some fruit off of a table or something. We'll have some fun.
Well, I can read about that stuff all day long, but actually to do it, I don't know that I can do that.
Well, let's have some fun next time I see you.
Hey, I know you've been involved in the outdoors for quite a long time. Why did you establish Estela Wilderness Education and the Education Fund?
Oh, okay. Well, in 2011, I decided that it was about time to, formalize the different things that I do. I mean, I had been involved with speaking at various engagements up and down the East Coast, traveling out to Michigan to teach courses there, up to Maine, down to North Carolina, writing magazine articles for you guys. I mean, I was doing a lot which wasn't underneath the banner of the Wilderness Learning Center. So a lot of people think, oh, you're quitting Marty, or you're not doing anything with that anymore, and it's quite the opposite. It's just to separate the two a little bit, so I'm not always under the Wilderness Learning Center banner, because sometimes the seminars that I teach don't have to do anything with them, and like if I'm teaching something for the Sayak Kali organization, it's not through the school, so it's through my background, through that organization. But I started that just to lump everything together under a single company. And, that was just something that I've wanted to do for a while. And as far as the education fund, I've been very fortunate over the years to have the ability to travel and to teach and to meet some excellent people. I mean, the students really make the job worthwhile. And, I was thinking about my way of contributing to, the industry. And the way I was looking at it is, I could either help people that are opting out, or I can continue to make sure that the interest in the outdoors gets passed on to the next generation. So I created the Estela Wilderness Education Fund to raise money to send the next generation to summer camp programs, to bring in interesting speakers, and to really help out the nature center where I first learned to hike as a kid. So I was very fortunate to still have the nature center around, which was managed by the Environmental Learning Center of Connecticut, and I found out that I could create a fund like this, and I had to jump at it. It was something that I felt like I needed to do. It was my responsibility to do, and I'm having a blast raising money for it because I know that it's going to a fantastic cause.
Is there a website or a contact information for that?
Oh, sure. The website to find out more information about the Estela Wilderness Education Fund is actually at www.mainstreetfoundation.org. The Main Street Community Foundation is the nonprofit organization that is handling all of the accounts, the receiving money through PayPal and whatnot. So it's mainstreetfoundation.org, mainstreetfoundation.org, www.mainstreetfoundation.org.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, it's a wonderful thing that you're doing for the kids. It's always good to hear somebody giving back to the children. So I take my hat off to you in that respect. Earlier you had mentioned about your dad took you out there in the woods. How old were you when your dad first started taking you out there?
My father waited a while to take me out. He was really protective to make sure that I wasn't going to be exposed to too much material that would be overwhelming as a kid. But I was always with my dad. I mean, I remember as a little kid doing rounds with him when he would go visit his patients, and I was always by his side. He was, he's to this day he's still my best friend. And it was probably about 5 or 6 when he first took me, with a backpack on hiking. And I found recently a photo from one of the first times, which was hilarious because, there I am with my members only jacket and a hiking stick. And, of course I've got my olive drab shoulder bag around my neck. So some things never change. I mean, I'm not wearing a members only jacket, but I still wear a lot of OD green. I still carry a hiking stick, and, it's, 27 years later after that first picture was taken, and, I'm still the same way I've always been.
That is so
Yeah,
good.
I can tell you, you're an awful lucky man there that you had a dad that did take you out and do those things. There's a lot of kids today that don't have that opportunity to have somebody take them out. So I think that's very important what you're doing there with your school.
Heck yeah, and having your dad as your best friend still. I mean, I'm in the same boat. My dad's my best buddy and always has been, and I'm so blessed to still have him around. So that's super duper cool, man.
Thank you. And, I always tell people, I say, even if you don't have a father figure like that, there's no reason why you can't find, various mentors in your life, people to really, aspire to be like. And, even if you don't happen to have a father, there's always a big brother or an uncle or a teacher or someone in the community that, you can really look up to. And I think that it's important for the youth to find someone like that to really give them the right guidance in their lives.
Hey, as far as survival instructors and things like that, I know there's a lot of them out there. If you go on the internet, you can find a lot of schools, you can find a lot of instructors, and a lot of people giving advice and so on and so forth. What do you feel sets you apart from some of the other survival instructors? Well,
my background is definitely a civilian survival instructor background. I have no military experience. I'm never going to claim that I do. But my experience as a civilian is as a high school history teacher. I have a master's degree in American Studies. I have a master's degree in secondary education, and I have a lot of experience teaching. So I know how to create an effective lesson. I know what's necessary to show a student how to learn, and I know how to assess if a student is learning. What really sets me apart is my delivery of survival skills and how I plan lessons. I'm able to carefully monitor my students' progress. I'm very, very student-oriented when I teach. I'm not simply a person that stands up there and lectures and wants everyone to bow to me. I would rather see the students develop the skills on their own with me as an observer, watching, making sure that they're doing it correctly and providing feedback. So my background in education, teaching for, ever since I was a teenager, essentially, various types of skills really sets me apart. My ability to make sure that the student gets what they need, and not so much me getting up there and proving that I'm something, that I'm not. So it's really about the student when it comes to my courses.
Well, yeah, I know that, I've been up there to Marty's when you're doing some of the stuff at the gathering type thing, and I know that you did take time with anybody that wanted to learn. So that's one of the good things I noticed about you is that you were hands-on teaching them. You weren't just saying this is how it's done and that's it. You were making sure that they got the technique down and that they knew what they were doing.
And it's really a passion. I mean, I absolutely love it. I can't tell you how much I enjoy it when I see a student pick up a skill that they've been searching for a long time. And, it's one of those great things if you can pass it on to someone and see that they'll pass it on to someone. It's almost like a legacy. Where did you learn that? Oh, I learned that from this guy, this crazy Filipino guy from, the Wilderness Learning Center. It's cool to hear people say, oh, I heard about this through you or whatever, and, to see that the skills are carried on to the next generation.
Hey, what would you consider some of your greatest accomplishments? What are you most proud of that you've done?
Over the years, I've had a lot of excellent experiences, teaching various youth groups. At a very young age, I became the director of instruction at a canoe shop in New Hartford, Connecticut, and I was responsible, even before I was, legally allowed to go to a bar, I was responsible for planning, organizing group trips of, various departments. I've traveled around the world with my father and my sister. Obviously, I had that brief appearance on the History International on Demand for Expedition Africa, writing for magazines, getting the exposure out there. I mean, I'm very proud of a lot of what I've done, but what I can say I'm most proud of is that the material that I present is never exaggerated. I always try to provide as real as possible of, an approach to presenting information. I never favor drama when the truth is more interesting, and I don't try to inflate anything. I let the skills and let the information sell itself. So I'm proud of maintaining my integrity over the years.
Well, that's good. I always think honesty is the best policy there. So, I mean, we do the same thing with the knife company. We don't present anything that's not accurate. So, I know that you've done an awful lot of instructing over the years. Can you tell me, is there anything that you might have learned from some of your students?
Some of the accomplishments that I'm most proud of over the years, I can go back to being a teenager, being responsible for various park and rec groups, being the director of instructions, organizing these trips for many kids over weeks on end. Before I was even legally allowed to enter a bar in college, I mean, I was very active with, bringing the Banff Mountain Film Festival to Fairfield University. Over the years, teaching people from all different walks of life, having an appearance on History on Demand for Expedition Africa, the short films that I did as promotional videos for them. But above all, I would say it would be maintaining my integrity over the years. I've never promoted a product that I didn't believe in. I've never presented any information that's strictly for the sake of drama. I usually try to always focus on, the facts and let them sell themselves. Let the facts be the real hero of the story. So really providing the best service possible and being as honest as possible.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of learned from coaching too. Is I never underestimated the kids, and I allowed them to try things that most people wouldn't believe they could do, and they pulled it off. A lot of them could pull it right off.
The students, it's great when a student can teach a teacher or provide a lesson to the teacher. And one thing that we've learned from the students over the years is that it doesn't matter what the background they come from. We always say that when the students enter the class, they show up as strangers, but they leave as friends. And one thing that I've learned from the students is that regardless of your background, these skills are so universal. They're valued by all different walks of life. I've learned the patience and the dedication that certain people have, and I've also learned never to judge a book by its cover, because you would assume that the guy showing up to your class that is, muscle bound and looks like an ad for a tactical magazine would be the one that gets all the skills, when it's actually the quiet, petite female that shows up who's really the animal in the group, who worked hard, and she cuts her hands on everything that she does and gets soot in her face. So I learned a lot from the students, but one of the most important lessons is never underestimate your students, what they come to the table with and what they're capable of doing.
Hey, Kevin, what kind of plans do you have for the next year coming up? Where can we expect to see you doing some different things?
Oh wow, this year is going to be crazy. I always tell myself that I'm going to cut back on what I do. I'm not going to do as much, but it seems like 2012 I'm going to be all over the place. A week from Saturday, I have a private course with a gentleman who's flying out from Hollywood. For obvious reasons, I don't want to disclose who he is, but it will be a private course. Pretty interesting. First time that's ever happened. In May, I'll be up at Marty's teaching a seminar over Memorial Day weekend. In June, I have to fly to Florida to teach the Hidden Agenda seminar for Sayat Kali, which is all about wilderness survival problem solving. In July, I'll be teaching courses with Marty for 2 weeks. August, I'll be flying out to Iceland and then England to teach a course for Sayat Kali. And then I'll be back to Marty's in August to teach another basic course. September, I'll be out in Michigan at Bark River Knife and Tool. And then October, November, December, right now is a crapshoot. I'm not certain where I'll be, but I know that there's some talk about some courses coming up for those months as well. So a lot of frequent flyer miles coming up.
That sounds like a real busy year. Hey, I heard you mention the name Marty a few different times there. Who's that referring to?
Well, I also mentioned some mentors in my life, and Marty Simon is my boss, my good friend, probably like a second father to me up at the Wilderness Learning Center. He's the founder and the chief instructor, and Marty is really, really an unbelievable asset. The man is a wealth of knowledge. He's probably going to find a way to insult me based on this radio interview, but it's all in good fun, all in good joking. But the man is truly, truly one of the foremost experts on edible plants, probably the most talented survival instructor I've ever met. The guy is just a wealth of knowledge, and he's also probably one of the most physically intimidating men at over 70 years old. You shake his hand and your hand disappears inside his. But he's a great friend, someone that's really helped hone my own skills, and someone that I wish more people could meet. We always joke and say that there should be a reality TV show that just follows around the life of Marty Simon, and he's a comedic genius when he's not trying to be a comedian. The guy's truly, truly a great friend.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about him insulting you if he knows I'm on the program too, because he'll hit me before he does you, I'm sure of it.
Oh, we won't even mention the whole toilet paper braid thing that you did up there at the school band, but he'll find a way.
Yeah, he'll find a way to cut on me if he's allowed. He does it all the time, and he's a professional at it. So if we're talking, Kevin, about primitive skills, can you explain a little bit what primitive skills are?
I break up survival skills into 3 different categories. There's the very primitive, there's the traditional, and there's the modern. And the way that I can explain primitive is to work my way back. So the modern would be anything in recent years, the most up-to-date equipment you can possibly use. Traditional skills would be anything that you could associate with the time period of like the frontier, when there's more applications of technology. So wooden matches as opposed to a bow drill set. Flint and steel would also fall into traditional skills as opposed to primitive. Primitive technology is truly, truly the stones and bones technology, pressure flaking, flint napping, fire by friction technology, brain tanning, anything that was done without real modern aid. So imagine anything that could be done without the use of a metal knife, stone technology, and those are really the primitive skills.
Oh yeah, they're not hard to obtain either. You got to work at some of those.
Oh, absolutely. And if anything, we teach the primitive skills to instill in our students the need to carry modern means. There's nothing that makes you want to carry a fire steel like a little frustration with the bow drill. So that's why every day, I always carry a lighter on me, even though I'm not a smoker, because I know how hard it is. Even as someone who's done the bow drill and the hand drill and various friction methods for years, I know how much easier it is to simply flip that bick and get a fire in a second.
Oh, you're absolutely right. A bow drill will make you carry a lighter every day.
That's right.
No doubt. I've heard a term that, again, you hear it a lot on the internet and see it in magazines. When someone, and I know you explain primitive skills real well, when someone says to you, I hear, hey guys, you need to own your skills. What does that kind of mean?
Owning the skills is having an understanding, and it's having an appreciation, and it's having a command over a skill more than just having the knowledge of it. I mean, I could explain to someone the process of, we're in world history right now, we're talking about the atomic bomb. I could explain, oh, this is how the atomic bomb, created such a horrible devastation. I could explain it, but unless I'm there making the atomic bomb, I don't truly own how it's made. The same respect, people will explain how to do natural cordage, or they explain how to make a shelter, but unless they've truly spent a night in that shelter, unless they've received blisters on their hands from making all that cordage, all that knowledge that they have is strictly theoretical. So when you own a skill, you've actually done it. You've learned the little nuances of sleeping in that natural shelter with the creepy crawlies that go over you. You know about waking up in the morning and hitting your head on a stick that you forgot to trim. When you own a skill, you own almost every aspect of it, and it's more than just a one-time deal. It's owning a skill where you can do it over and over on demand with very little failure, if any.
Yeah, that's not easy to do. I know that bow drill really got the best of me, but that's where I learned from. I learned from Marty Simon. So I was glad, and I don't believe I own that skill yet. I know how to do it, and I've done it, but I'm quite a ways away from owning it, I guess.
Self Reliance Illustrated, teaching our youth and passing on the tribal knowledge, a bi-monthly magazine that you can check out online. They have articles on shelter, water, food, prepping, just general outdoor stuff. What do you think of that one, Dan?
Oh, this thing is awesome. When you look at some of these things in this magazine, you are going to have a ball.
So that's Self Reliance Illustrated. And where can we find it?
www.selfrelianceillustrated.com.
Today is a friend of Dan and myself. His name is Kevin Estela, and he is the lead instructor with the Wilderness Learning Center, and he is also the founder of Estela Wilderness Education.
So let's get on to packs and things. I know that you probably get bug out bags or different things, different kind of packs. What would be in your pack that you would carry the most?
Well, I carry a multitude of different items, and I have, my small pocket kit that I carry in a cargo pocket of either my pants or my jacket that is always with me. I also have redundant layers. So in addition to the pocket items that I would normally carry, I have my small lumbar pack made by Kifaru that carries everything that I need for 365 days out of the year. And I never remove any gear from there because I found the gear that's in there effectively used year-round. So inside that pack, I always have a backup knife in addition to the one that I have on my belt. I always have a fire kit that allows me to make fire a multitude of different ways, including one-handed. I have a small backup metal canteen and cup that allows me to collect water, purify water, and transport it. I also have all various methods of cordage, from decoy line to 550 paracord to duct tape to fishing line. There's a headlamp in there, gloves for hand protection. There's a high-powered flashlight that allows me to look at a long distance without having to travel to see something up close. Inside there's various methods for signaling, both auditory and visual. There's a shelter component, which is a poncho, trapping, fishing, and snaring equipment in there. Basically, I try to cover my 10 essentials in there, but then I also have some creature comfort items in there, such as a spoon so I don't have to whittle one, wet ones for hygiene, first aid kit for minor cuts, scrapes, and burns. And generally, those items are in that pack year-round.
I didn't hear him say Snickers.
I don't think he said a Snickers bar any.
I don't know. I think a necessity thing for me is a Snickers bar somewhere in that pack. But I heard you mention back there just a little bit that you were talking about the stuff that's in your pack, and you were saying, having a brain fart now.
I was going to say you'd lose your train of thought.
I did, because you squirreled me over there. We're trying to do hand signals here, and it's really confusing. So now I got to back up. Oh, you were talking about, I'm ready now. I'm going to ask you something about that.
Mikey, feed him some lines, would you? He's killing me.
Okay, here we go. Got to have a moment of silence, and then I'm going to ask you. Okay, Kevin, you were talking back there in your pack about a one-handed fire. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's something that I don't think people are preparing themselves for. And it's kind of difficult to do if you don't know really what you're doing.
Right. And there are a lot of fire starters out there that are sold as one-handed fire starters, but the problem is that they usually involve some type of mechanism which is easily broken. I won't go into detail which companies we've seen break over and over and over, but most of the time, a simple ferro rod, a 4-inch ferro rod, can be used one-handed if you step on the lanyard that attaches it and you scrape sideways, or if you were to drive your knife into a log, place the tinder at the base of the tip where it's driven in and pull the ferro rod against the spine. But one-handed fire starting is something that I definitely enjoy showing people because a hand injury is incredibly debilitating. Last year I had a hand broken during martial arts training, and for 2 or 3 weeks I couldn't even tie my ties, I couldn't button shirts. I had to do everything with my left hand, and it really was an eye-opener. Even folding knives, most folding knives will open right hand only. I decided to carry a pocket fixed blade, a small one, because I couldn't manipulate the folder with my broken hand. So the one-handed fire starting is something that is absolutely essential to learn, because in reality, if you do find yourself in an emergency, one of the first things you're going to assess is your physical health. And chances are, if you are in a car accident, or if you are bracing against the steering wheel, or finding your way through the dark out of an accident, you might have an injury to your hand, which would limit your ability to use both hands to create a fire. So it's a skill that is absolutely essential to learn.
That sounds fantastic. Sometimes you don't even think about that kind of stuff. Just what you said. We always think, you got to take a basic survival course, and it's going to teach you how to do this, this, and this. But then we got to remember that this basic survival course is just a precursor to, hey, I actually got hurt in a small plane crash, and I'm stuck in the mountains. It might be a hurt leg, it might be a hurt arm. So you bring up a really good point about, and that goes back to owning your skills. The fact that you can do a fire with both hands. Now you say to yourself, can I do it one-handed? And you bring up a great point, and I hope that the listeners really connect with you on that, because that is some important stuff. Kevin, I'm telling you what, some of the stuff that you talked today is just as just impressive. I really like the way you're explaining things. It seems like it's really understandable, the way you can teach it. If I wanted to come and take a course with you, how can I get a hold of you?
You can contact me in a number of different ways. My email address that I use for any survival instruction is estelawildernesseducation@gmail.com. All one word, estelawildernesseducation@gmail. I also have a Twitter account that I post updates on, which is Estela Wild Ed. And the other thing is, I'm not opposed to giving out my phone number if people wanted it. But email is really the best way to reach me. People can find my Estela Wilderness Education page on Facebook, as well as the page for the Wilderness Learning Center. And people can contact me right through there. Social media is great for keeping in touch, even though we're teaching primitive skills. It's okay to use a modern means to convey those messages.
Absolutely. Kevin, it's been a fantastic pleasure talking to you today. Would you come back on again later, maybe in the year, and bring us up to date on some other things? Because, geez, I know I've probably got another 15, 20 questions I could ask you.
Anytime. I'm always available to talk. Whether you want me to come on the air or write a magazine article or whatever, just let me know. I'm always here for you guys.
That sounds great.
Anytime, guys. Have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you for being on the show today. Again, if you get an opportunity, check out Kevin's websites and his email, the Estela Wilderness Education and the Estela Wilderness Education Fund. So thank Kevin for coming on today. And for the very latest, be sure to like our BHK Outdoors Facebook page, or you can follow us on Twitter. If you have any questions or show ideas for Dan and myself, again, you can email us at radio@bhkoutdoors.com. That is radio@bhkoutdoors.com. Thank you all for being with us today. Remember to join us right here next Saturday morning for BHK Outdoors, your beacon for all things outdoors. And thanks to our producer, Mike Henniger. And until then, I'm LT.
And I'm Dan.
And may God bless all of you.